Okay then. So the founder of religious science, Dr. Ernest Holmes, once described the science of mind teachings as the correlation of the laws of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelations of religion, all combined to meet the needs and aspirations of humankind. And I so love that description for a couple of reasons. First, I love the idea of weaving together science, philosophy, and religion. And second, I particularly like, as most of you know, how practical it is, how really practical religious science truly is. And both of these things are true for all the New Thought institutions, if you will. We have unity, divine science, religious science, and so many others that it is recognized as a world religion at the World Parliament of Religions as they meet every 2 or 3 years. So this beautiful New Thought teaching that we espouse here is that we are in not just spiritual theory or theological rhetoric that we can contemplate on Sunday mornings and then we leave and, oh well, on with life. Like it's a drudgery, like we forget. These principles are to be used. These teachings are to be used in our everyday life. That's when they come alive. That's when we come alive. That's when we can truly express who we are and what we are here to do. Rather that it is a practical, hands-on way of life that supports us. It supports us in so many different ways in all of our needs in this human experience that we are all having here. Not just meeting our needs, but exceeding our needs. And it really is so much more than that, and I really want to get into that this morning a little bit, as much as I can squeeze into 23 and a half minutes, maybe 24. So, I want us to deepen into a realization that we are here to achieve our dreams. And we're going to explain what our dreams could kind of be to us. Our heart's desires, that thing within us that wants to express itself. And it is unique in each and every one. Each one of us has within us this desire, this urge to become more, to be more. And so, my friends, this entire month, the whole month of February, we are going to explore the question of what our aspirations, our dreams, our heart desires, what they truly are. What experiences do we wish to have? Who is it that we came here to be? We all came here to be someone expressing some kind of uniqueness. Each and every one of us, truly, this is truth. And how is it that we are called to touch the world? And we can find the answers to those questions in the answer to another question, which is, what would I love? This is an interesting question, isn't it? It really is. What would I love? And how many times do we actually ask ourselves that question? Really, what would I love? More often than not, we ask the questions, what should I do? What can I afford to do? What will people think of me if I do? What do people expect me to do? Do they sound familiar to anyone, or is it just me? Good. We want to make sure we're on the same page. So this month, we will look at the idea of living a life that we love. Wow, imagine that. A life that we love, and loving the life we lead. Because remember this, embedded in your conscious awareness, life itself, that's with a capital L, life, wants, yearns, longs, desires to be expressed in, as, and through you. That thing within you, that life force, that God essence within you, longs, desires to be expressed, and only you can do it. Only you can do it. In the book, The Cloud of Unknowing, there were some contemplative articles from the 14th century, in which an introductory line says, "A soul is one with God." In it, it also says that you think your desires are your desires. You think they come from within you. That is not actually the truth. Rather, this is interesting, rather by the time they reach your conscious mind, they are the echoes of life's yearning to express and experience itself by means of you. I'm going to say that one again because I love that. We think our desires are our desires. We think that they come from within us. But actually, that is not true. Rather, by the time they reach our conscious minds, our awareness, they are the echo of life's desiring to express and experience itself by means of us. That force within us that is trying to get our attention in any way it can, that wants to be expressed one way or another. If we don't express them, they will look for another opening where this expression can be made. This is the way it works. I remember as a young child, I only wanted to do one thing in my life, and that was to be an actress. I didn't have anything else. Well, I lived in Manhattan. Well, I knew all the people. But something in my ego mind kept shutting the door on it. But it was in me. It came in with this. And look where I am now. It's going to find a way to express. I'm still in front of a microphone. I grew up in front of a microphone, and I'm back there because life is expressing through and as me. Going to get my attention one way or another. And usually I'm so stubborn, I take that 2x forward. Whack, and here I am, again, in front of the microphone. But really, and where am I? Oh, I get so excited. I really do. I get so excited. So this is a good one. Have you ever had a great idea that didn't do anything because of it?
Well,
think about that. You made up excuses, like I just told you. Didn't have the time, resources, oh no, I'm not good enough. Whatever the excuse is. And then it comes out as another product, some successful product. And it was maybe, you ever think of all the things that you were into and like, well, you didn't follow through with and someone else did, and then they became like famous, wealthy, rich, all of that stuff. It's because we kept ourselves playing small. So the question this morning then, do you love yourself? You know, takes us to a whole different level. And I really want to get this morning that I want you to say this after me. Okay. My desires
are
the echoes of life desires. To experience itself by means of me. And I want you to say that again with more feeling, more power.
Okay.
All right. My desires
are
the echoes of life's desires. To experience itself by means of me. That's better. And that's the truth. That is the truth that you just spoke. That is the truth. It's the truth, the spiritual truth of your being. You did not come here to lead a meager life, to live a life of struggle, to be downtrodden or burdened or oppressed. Holmes tells us in Science of Mind textbook, actually page 404, God is more completely expressed through the one who lives largely than the one who lives meagerly. And I know that some of us here, it looks like we are struggling right now, feeling downtrodden. You're probably saying she's not talking about me, you know, because I am all those things. Oppressed, living meagerly. I get that, I do, and I understand. And I want you to know something that's really, really, really important. And right here, right now, you came to the right place today. Maybe it was a prayer that someone spoke. Were you paying attention? Was your awareness on point? Were you open to receive it? Maybe it was a lyric and the songwriter just sang. It could be anything, a word that I'm speaking, the ceremony that we just held, whatever it is, that awareness in you, if it gets it, you are starting to live largely. You're moving into an expansive way of thinking. Because life is yearning, longing, desiring to express as each and every one of us. And so today we're going to let the question, what would I love, be the guide. Let it be the guide. Usually when we think in terms of love being our guide, we think in terms of the way we relate to people, or in terms of the place from which we made our decisions and our choices coming from love, right? This is me being love. Well, we want to come from a place of love when we relate to others. That's good. But we also want to come from that place of love when we make our own decisions. That is good. That is the really very important. But this morning though, I want to add an additional part to that. An additional context of letting what would you love be your guide in all that you focus on, and letting that love guide you, and how you spend your time, your talent, and your resources. What if you did that? What if you really, really paid attention and let love be the guide? Let that loving kindness, you know what love is? Think of it as kindness. Think of it as respect. And let that guide you in every decision that we make, in all of our decisions. If you think about it, every single invention, every discovery, every work of art, every human creation came from someone who really let love guide them. If it were not for love, the Wright brothers would not have designed the airplane for us to fly in. If it were not for love of scientists, inventors, and discoveries, we would not have electricity, heating, light. We wouldn't have our cell phones. Oh my goodness. We wouldn't have our cell phones, computers. If someone didn't truly love what they were doing and put their whole, we wouldn't have great works of art. We wouldn't have poetry, theater. This comes from a place of love. Without someone letting that love be their guide, think about who would go into the teaching profession. It's got to be an act of love. It's an act of love. There would be no books, no art. Because each and every one of these things were created because someone asked the question, what would I love? And then they let the answer, that's the key part, they let the answer to that question guide us. In The Power, which is written by Rhonda Burns, she did The Secret, she wrote this: people who have great lives think and talk about what they love more than what they don't love. People who are struggling think and talk about what they don't love more than what they do love. Well, what do you think the law is responding to? Both. Be careful what you think, be careful what you feel. Because the law is impartial. Remember that. The law of God we're talking about, the substance that gives us back what we think and what we feel, is going to give it back impartially, non-judgmental. So if you want to know what you're thinking and what you're feeling, as it's been said, look what's going on in your life right now. You're creating something. And in Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote, this is on page 126, whatever we think, act, believe in, feel, visualize, vision, image, read, and talk about, in fact, all processes which affect or impress us at all, are going into the subjective state of our thought, which is, that's our subconscious, which is our individualized use of universal mind. Whatever goes into the subjective state of our thought tends to return again as some condition. So we alone control our destiny. It's always going to come back to that. I really thought that I wasn't responsible. It was everyone else outside of me. Well, if it weren't for them, this would be happening. And if it weren't for this condition, this would be happening. It's always going to come back to we are responsible for our own destiny. It's the good news and the bad news. So you may say, this is all well and good, but I'm struggling just to make ends meet. A lot of people will say that, and that's fine. I've got no time, energy, or resources to focus on what I love. As for other people. And I want to say this, my friend, with a great deal of love in my heart and compassion, that you are telling yourself, if you're saying those things, you are telling yourself a lie. And you're believing it. I'm not saying to quit your day job so you can become an artist, not saying that. If that's what you would love. We all have something within us. Do we all realize that we have something within us that wants to express? Something that is so, that when you're doing it, when you're thinking about it, it brings up your vibration. It lifts you up to a different state. Well, you can do that while you're in your present job, while you're in your present relationship, while you're in whatever you're in right now. You can vision, you can imagine, image the thing that you want to do. Because the law doesn't know the difference between what we call reality and imagination. It knows what is given to it, and through the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, we will get it back. So even if we're doing our regular job, if we're imagining what we want, what our hearts desire, what we would love to do come forth, the law is responding to that. And then what if you neutralize your emotional engagement with the struggling pattern of whatever's going on? Yes, we deal with it. We always deal with the practical side of having this human experience of living life. We're not going to, well, unless you're very enlightened and levitate out of your body, most of us are going to have to deal with what's going on. But we don't have to be so emotionally attached. We can know the spiritual truth at the same time we're doing the practical decisions of living this life, of living life. And when you do that, what we call our opportunity awareness expands. We expand. We talk about divinity, God, the infinite spirit. What does it do? It's always expanding because it creates. So the more creation is more expansive. It's not stagnant. God is not stagnant. Well, that God essence within each and every one of us is not stagnant. It shouldn't be stagnant. If it is stagnant, that's when we feel the sadness, the unhappiness of life. But when we're doing things that we feel that we love, then we feel alive. Then we're expressing our divine nature. And that's where we want to be, I would think, don't you? Don't you want to be there? Yeah. And just in case you think that you have to do this all by yourself, I want to tell you that you don't. So in fact, we're given this is from the Bible, we're given a great promise in Psalms, chapter 37, verse 4. This is the George Lamsa version. It's written, "Trust in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass." That's a pretty direct promise. The desires of our hearts come to pass if what? If what? If we play our part, and our part is so important that it is mentioned twice in that passage. Trust in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. So what is it? What is it that we to do? Trust. Trust. Do we trust that there's a power for good that is with us all of the time? Do we really trust it? Do we? That's something to look at. That's something to really look at. I'm going to skip over this whole story I had because it's too long. But I do want to read something that came to me yesterday. Actually, this. So, when we do things we love, that loving kindness that I spoke of before, we feel so good about ourselves. So 2 weeks ago, I was getting a manicure, and it was 20 to 7 at night. And the place closes at 7. And a woman came in, and she was leaving the next day for Florida, so she needed a pedicure. All the women know, if you're going to Florida Sandals, you need a pedicure, okay? So this woman, she left all of her credit cards, she left her wallet home. She had taken it all out to book the trip, she said, to Florida. And they weren't going to do her pedicure for her. And I could see how, this is devastating to us women. So I'm like, well, this is crazy. I mean, they're not going to. So I pay for her pedicure. Wait, you would have thought that I gave her a kidney. Because she was so grateful to me. So I go back yesterday, and I get my manicure again. I forgot all about it. You forget these things. And she had given a little gift bag and with some cookies in it. She didn't even know me. She knows I like cookies. And she left this note and the money. And she wrote, "Margaret, you have restored my faith in mankind." "Truly the nicest thing a stranger has ever done for me. Thank you for the pedicure. I'm going to pay it forward by making a donation to St. Jude's. Christine." And you know what? It's doing what love would do. It's loving kindness. It's a small thing. It's not a big thing. But hey, you restore someone's trust in humankind? I had to share it with you. I just got it yesterday. And then we have the acronym, fully rely on God, FROG, okay? So, fully rely on God. Really knowing that there is a power. It's so beautiful. That when we stand back, the roses today, I have to talk about the roses today. Because last night I was at the grocery store at 10:30 at night, and they didn't have any roses. So I'm like, oh well, I'll have to release all my attachment to having roses be a part of the ceremony. And in walks Addie. "I think these would be great to be a part of our ceremony." She had no clue. Right? It's why we get out of our own way. It's like, there they are, a dozen roses. We even have more to make it beautiful. Thank you, Eddie. But this is when we fully rely on the universe to support us. So, I'm going to end with, with a quote by Ernest Holmes, where he says, "Begin to blot out, one by one, all false beliefs, all ideas that you are limited, poor or miserable. Refuse to think of failure or to doubt your own power," he says. "See only what you wish to experience and look at nothing else. Cannot the great principle of life create for us all that we need? The universe is inexhaustible. It is limitless, knows no bounds, and has no confines. We are not depending on a reed shaken by the wind, but on the principle of life itself, for all that we have or ever shall need. It is not some power or a great power, it is all power. All we have to do is to believe, never wavering, no matter what happens, no matter what happens. As we do this, we shall find that things are steadily coming our way, and they are coming without the awful effort which destroys the peace of mind. We know that there can be no failure in God's mind, and this mind is the power on which we are depending. There is no failure in God. Hello. Whoa. Takes a bit of a burden off. Stuff happens. You choose again. Choose again. So I ask you this morning, what would you love? What would you love? Pick one thing right now. Just one thing. Maybe it's a healed relationship, a relationship at all. Success in your business, releasing a business, a deep connection with God, whatever it could be, wholeness, radiant health, whatever it is. To create art, to be whatever it is that your heart has been yearning for you to be. So get an image of it right now. Just think about this. Just close your eyes for a moment. Visualize it. And see yourself letting it be your guide. Your way as you move into this whole new year of 2016. And so as we hold that in our consciousness, I'm going to ask our practitioners, our new ones, to come up, as well as our